Greetings, Petroheads! My name is the Tom, you're on my gaming channel, and it's time for another episode of Automation, the car company tycoon game. Now, some people have asked me, Tom, why did you replace the engine in the Caisson? Why didn't you just turbocharge the V8? Apart from the obvious reasons of, like smoothness, for higher comfort and so on. I actually felt like making a video as a response to that question, and therefore here I am. Basically, I'm gonna clone this thing here and call this the YouTube test. A very creative name, of course. And so let's get right into the engine part here. You can see that this is a 5.7 liter inline six, and we have a compressor of 71.5, which is fairly large, and the turbine of 40 millimeters. And the turbo spools up at 2000 RPM. You know, I really wanted to get that huge low-end torque, which also correlates to early power. As you can see here, at 2000 RPM we're making like 220 horsepower or something. And yeah, why didn't I turbocharge the V8? Basically, this led me to actually explain in very simple terms, not engineering terms, how turbos actually work. And you know, here, this thing right here is our air intake, and our air intake feeds the air, or leads the air into the combustion chambers, like here, in here. And the other thing we need for successful combustion, of course, is the fuel, which is in our case directly injected. And after the combustion, the combustion produces some exhaust gases, of course, and those exhaust gases come through here into the turbo, where, again, put simply, rather than professionally, the air is filtered and cleaned, you could say, and the clean air goes back into the combustion chambers, and the waste goes through the wastegate and down the exhaust. So here we have one turbo for 5.7 liters of capacity, and you could see that our compressor is fairly large and our turbine is average you could say, and it still spools up really early because this engine produces so many exhaust gases that can go through the turbine. That way the turbine can spool up really early. Whereas if we'd gotten for, wait a minute, where's the Vector V8 now? Whereas if we'd gotten for the actually, you know what? Let me go to this car right here, Gen 2 V8 DFI. Clone this thing and go into the engine section. Now let's assume we would have gone for the maximum size here to keep it fair, which is like 5.9 liters. It's a little bit bigger even, and you would have to reduce the compression ratio, obviously. You'd have to, the other reason why I didn't want to keep this engine is because it has VVL, and I was aiming for more bottom end rather than more top end performance. But anyway, we're gonna turbocharge this thing now. We're gonna go for the 40 millimeter turbine, the 71.5 millimeter. Did I say meter? Holy crap, that would have been a huge turbo. And 1.35 was the compression rate and was the AR ratio, and you can see we are making more power. Wait a minute, let me increase this compression. Actually, we were running way lower on fuel mixture, I think, like 14 or something. Anyway, yeah, as you can see on the inline 6, the turbo would spool up at 2000 RPM, like here, whereas on this engine they spool up at like 3200, and that's a significant difference. And this is something that I think would not allow for, you know, cruising in a higher gear, because you need at least 3200 RPMs for the turbo to kick in, whereas on the other engine that would happen at 2000 RPM. So there is the reasoning behind that, and put logically, of course, on the other engine we had 5.7 liters, 1 turbo. Here we have 5.9 liters, 2 turbos. So we only have 2.95-ish liters of capacity per turbo, which is still as big as we previously had. So this turbo setup wouldn't work as well on this engine as it did on the other one. And even if we'd go here to the test track, it is still faster from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, because basically it weighs 100 and something kilograms less than the turbo inline 6, because I also put a lot more luxury in there. Let's put that in there as well. To keep it fair, I had advanced safety as well. Yeah, you see, it is now heavier than the inline 6. It is surprisingly enough more economical and faster as well, but we're losing a lot of drivability, we're losing a lot of sportiness, we're losing comfort. We're basically on par with cost, maybe even a little bit cheaper, surprisingly enough, but that's probably down to the internals, because I added better internals as well. Anyway, we're losing so much in drivability, sportiness, and yeah, comfort as well, and reliability, as you can see here, that I don't think this was worth trying. And if I would go ahead and make it so this, excuse me for that, if I would go ahead and tune this turbo setup in such a way that it would spool up way earlier, then you can see that we are losing a lot of performance. 496, 490. Let's try it this way. Compression. So it spools up at 2100 RPM, which is comparable to the inline 6's 2000 RPM. We're making less economy, making less power. We're making a little bit less torque, I think. I don't know, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, the economy is worse, the drivability is worse than on the inline 6, so is the sportiness, comfort obviously, and the acceleration as well, and the top speed. Everything is basically worse if we tune this engine to respond the way that the inline 6 does. So there's the problem. I think the inline 6 was the correct choice, and if we go back here to my actual final product, if you will, you can see that, yeah, economy is 9.77, drivability is 57.7, which is even better than on the naturally aspirated inline, no, not inline 6, but V8 provided by Vector. That's something you very rarely get. a turbo engine that is more drivable than the naturally aspirated one. So there's that. I put a focus on drivability, and also of course on comfort and safety and economy. The engine reliability of this particular engine is 68.5. What was the one in the Vector V8? No, oh my god. What the heck did I do? Please help. I need to make this naturally aspirated again. I think it had tubular exhausts. This is too much. It had 36 here. What the heck? Oh yeah, it was only a 5 liter. 94.1, that's the bore, and we have 89.9. So now we need more power. It was at 13.3. I think that's the way it was. So yeah, the reliability is 68.4 compared to the inline 6 turbo engines 68.5. That's on par. Like 0.1 reliability difference doesn't really matter, but the important thing is that even with the turbo, the engine I replaced this with is more reliable. It's also a rare thing, probably down to the fact that the naturally aspirated engine revs to 7500, whereas the turbo inline 6 only revs to 6500. And yeah, that is all that combined is the reason why and you can see, gorgeous, you can see the difference in the power output. Like, remember, the blue line is the power, and in the mid-range, like from 2000 RPM on, all the way up, we're making so much more power than the naturally aspirated engine, that even with all the weight we gained by putting this engine and the luxury interior in, we're still 0.8 seconds faster to 62 miles an hour. That's actually a huge difference. And the torque is just obviously ridiculous on a turbo engine. And that is why this thing's so fast. Despite the weight difference, this weighs 2064 kilograms. The standard sport wagon has 1830 or something like that. So we're basically 500 pounds up in weight and only 30 horsepower more, and still we're 0.8 seconds faster from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. That is because of this exact power curve. So yeah, I think all these reasons combined, and we're still making an economy of 31.39%, all these things combined, I think this explains why I chose the inline 6 setup rather than turbocharging the V8, and that sums it up for this episode. It was a rather quick one, but I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Man, I can't speak today. If also consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more content in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.